A couple of teams still in contention. Every single game matters. It could go to the final weekend, which could be the virtual eliminators. With RCB winning yesterday, with CSK winning yesterday, it could come down to just that matchup on Super Saturday. Look who we have in the house, our super stellar cast. Raise your hands if any of you had, and be honest, KKR in the Final Four at the start of the season. Don't think, just raise the hand. Not one person raises their hand because that no.
Oh, you didn't give us enough chance.
You had KKR in your Final Four. Good job, because that's what we want. We want them to come up with their wildest predictions when it comes to the Final Four. And Bhaji's got game face on. Okay, he's got the chashma out. That means this is serious business, Bhaji. Your wild card for that Final Four.
Oh God. Final Four. KKR. Because SRH, I believe they're going to probably lose next two games, so that gives an opportunity for. Sorry, Tom.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't need to be sorry, but I'm sorry.
That was pretty wild.
I think I'll go with Bajupa. I think RCB and Chennai.
Just because you won titles together doesn't mean you have to win this one together.
No, I truly believe that RCB and Chennai still.
Hados has the last word for the wildest prediction.
You just can't give me 24 hours.
No, Mayanti, you asked us the wildest, so this is the wildest.
Yeah, it's pretty
nice.
If
you asked wiser, then I would have given you different numbers.
We'll wait for Hados to see if it's the wildest.
Well, the wildest would be RCB because, I mean, they were absolutely... They just seem to be holding their nerve. They're actually getting better. You know, when you look at their winning run now, they're just... They've got the stool out and they're giddy up.
Well said. So which means we are going to be watching when RCB take on your former side, your former side, your former side. Because when you have this week coming up, Tom, even tomorrow, DC LSG is crucial. Which is the match that you're looking forward to the most this coming week?
Well, I think both the LSG games are going to have a
wise answer for the week of matches you're looking forward to.
I'm looking forward for RCB versus.
What the man from Hyderabad will say about Hyderabad, right? I know
if I'm wise, then definitely CSK is going to qualify at number 2 with RR losing both their games. And SRH qualifying at number 4 and RR at number 3.
Okay, there we go. We've got a lot to look forward to this week and today as well. Let's find out. It's on the show. Down to that final showdown in our stellar cast here. We've got 2 Australians in the house, which is why I needed to call the services of Ambati Raidu. But we've also got overwhelmingly, Sunrisers Hyderabad, CSK in the house here. Right, so with Matthew Hayden and Ambati Raidu, we've got to talk about that 50th win at Chepauk over Rajasthan Royals, because essentially what it did was have CSK dig deep into the reserves of what is championship DNA. You know that you need to be making that race to the playoffs and heading towards that finish line.
Up into that points table ahead of that RCB match.
Yeah, it's
very special.
It's going to be a big one because, look, this was also the final match of the season for them at the Chepauk, which leads us to the question of whether this would be the last time you would see MS Dhoni. Look,
catches a ball, even if he does something to his hair, they would love to see a glimpse of him. That's all they want. I think they are his fans first, and then CSK's fans. Yeah.
I did try and prod him, you know, being a former CSK man, and saying, you know, will this be the last time? And he said, he's got another season, if not 2. This won't be the last because CSK are making the playoffs. They're playing in Chennai again. So all the emotional reactions I was hoping for, I didn't get. He just rubbished them completely.
I have a different opinion. I do believe it will be his last season. That's not from inside word. It's just a general opinion. I thought we were kind of at that stage at the back end of last season. Couldn't have got a better way, you know, to finish the season off as well. And this year it's just been one giant celebration. Even in those away venues, Gujarat is a classic case, and the other one was Vizag earlier up in the IPL as well. It was a sea of yellow, in which traditionally has just, you know, been such a huge venue for away side. So he's bringing a nation with him, and that's what he's done. You know, right through the course of his career, he's led India to World Cups. He's, in my view, he's the reason why we're all standing here today in many ways, because had India not have won that T20 World Cup in South Africa, you know, kind of just push the accelerator in terms of where this game was progressing and how it was progressing. And it progressed under him. and a very young Indian team with lots of experience. The IPL was launched the following year, and bang, it was just, he's kryptonite to Indian cricket.
Yeah, I mean, he has brought Indian cricket together. I would say we were all very bifurcated to build the culture of the team around what he has developed in India.
And it's interesting you say that because you've seen a little bit of that transition taking place. Some uncapped stars, uncapped bowlers for CSK came to the fore yesterday. You know, you've got a young captain as well. They've got a huge encounter, as Heros has said, the final showdown just in 5 days up against RCB. Not only are the fans excited, the players, but also the icons. Up to from their perspective as well. Why has it gotten so interesting? Because RCB have now managed to win 5 on the trot. Just when it counts, they're pulling out all the big guns. That too up against the birth city of Virat Kohli, Delhi Capitals. How did they do it? Quick Inform tells us more. With 2 absolutely stellar sides, and it could just come down to one of them qualifying in that final four. Tom, you've got RCB doing RCB things like they did in 2016 until... But just resurrecting that spirit, 5 on the trot, coming together to be able to essentially defend the total at the Chinnaswamy as well.
Yeah, very
The trot, pieces of the puzzle for them coming together to be able to essentially defend it.
Yeah, very much so. Well, they've just changed as the seasons unfolded, really. They've evolved as this season has evolved. Mohammad Siraj, which is a good thing for RCB, but for India as well, he's found some form. And Dale has also bowled really well. I think he's their leading wicket taker. So all the pieces are starting to come together, and they look a confident side now.
So much of it, you know, Rajat Patidar in the middle against spin, but Virat Kohli also having just changed his game against spin in the middle, that made that turnaround within a matter of a few games, leading with the bat.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he has brought out new shots, and especially on the leg side where he's slog sweeping.
Finding that
Just going to ask that question because RCB at the Chinnaswamy in this sort of form with that sort of confidence, reserves rally around them. Come on, call it.
Oh, yes, it is. Well, obviously, my heart's going to say role, and they are, you know, especially at home there. It hasn't been a great hunting ground. That'll be one thing. Been south of 50% win record at home. So that's a little juicy stat for CSK to buy into. But like Mood said, and look, we've seen players, you know, for example, Luck now, he's finding a space now where he's putting this great emphasis on himself, I feel, and he's getting further. And Virat up top has been brilliant. They're actually emerging, you know, the more pressure that's coming on. So that's a big tick for RCB.
Do CSK have now figured out their because they don't make changes, but they have this season? What would be a balanced side for that matchup, for that final showdown?
Oh, that's a real tough one because they brought Tikshana in that last game at CSK, so I think they'll revisit that selection. To whether that's the right selection. My mind goes straight to Santner as the alternative because you could use...
You know, you look at the surface, the last match that they played there had a bit of a green tinge to it. and they got, you know, lots of wickets inside the power play, but we arrived last evening, and in spite of the weather, it was dry again, not a blade of grass on it, so that'll lend weight to Tom Moody's discussion, you know, it's selection time for CSK.
It's going to be a lot of fun for us actually discussing that as we build up to it in 5 days' time. For now, however, an opening pair because Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill are coming off what was a record stand. And then you've got Sunil Narine and Phil Salter. They just go in the same gear, both of them. So what would set them both apart today?
I think Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan are more conventional. They will with the ball moving a little bit. I think Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan would be far more effective here.
The other question for Kolkata Knight Riders is they had about 8 different opening combinations last season compared to this. Is Phil Salt leaves after this. So today, do you still open with him or do you essentially blood in who you're going to start opening with later?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's going to be a tough one on Salt because I'm sure he'd like to continue his merry way because he's been so effective. But
What do you like, or are you the pair?
Yeah, I think
what
probably.
will work today,
Well, I
yeah.
think that's a good point. I mean, you've got to give players an opportunity to work their way into a tournament. The players that haven't, you know, like a Mitch Santner springs to mind. You know, he's been asked to come in right at the back end of the tournament, and whilst he's had a, you know, incredible international season this year, it's a lot to ask. You know, so with Gobaz into form, coming into that big match, even though you do get a second bite of the cherry, you do not want to go to the second qualifier. That's not a goal when you're sitting at, you know, Q1 and Q2. You need to be in that final berth. You need to be resting up ahead of it and sitting pretty. But, you know, that's the challenge.
Those will be some sort of questions that we'll get answers to just ahead of the toss, won't we? It's a crucial one for Gujarat Titans because then our other predictions out of the way, gentlemen. We've made this like I'm the school teacher, hashtag principal, whatever you want to call it today, because we're going to do things the old school way. Visualization, that's what we're going to do. So we've got a board, as you can see, with all the teams, as you can see. And who are the final 4? Those are your predictions today. We will go in an orderly line. You can discuss amongst yourself who would like to go first. What I will do is make sure that Kolkata are already qualified, right? Oops, I don't think I can do this. So Kolkata have gone there. They're qualified. They're done.
I think you probably should make a little adjustment there with Mumbai Indians as well. They should be down the bottom. Any problem with that?
Are the former Mumbai boys okay with that?
No.
No.
you're not happy with it?
Okay, we'll just make you both happy, okay? Whatever happens. We'll figure it out. But what about who's joining them? Who wants to go first?
Come on.
Tom.
Oh. First.
Tom Moody. Come on,
Okay,
Tom.
here we go.
We can do
Okay,
this.
Kolkata, I think, yes, definitely first. This is my head speaking, not my heart.
Sure.
I think they're going to be second because they've got 2 home games.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Well done. Tom Moody. Those are Tom Moody's predictions. All right, go ahead.
Surely have to come good. 3 in a row they've lost, but I don't know. Somehow I've got a feeling that orders.
Bajiba, go for it.
You can pick from the other side.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Cannot.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah,
That's the
but
final showdown.
supposedly
Is it possible?
they have. Give me 5. Then out of these 5,
There you go.
Right, that's it.
That's how we introduce you to the world, right? Amati Raidu, come on. You decide. He's making big moves. He's making big moves. For everyone?
I think so.
Yes? Okay. So based on what you all have decided today, are you telling me that Gujarat... Are we getting that prediction out too?
Why not? I don't think. No, I just think that.
Give me what you genuinely feel.
Look, no, I genuinely think that this mob here are on fire. You know, today's match is insignificant in my head.
So Korbo Lorbo Jeetbo Re for KK. They're two former champions, Bhaji. They both have trophies.
Yeah, I think Kolkata.
Yeah, I'm Kolkata.
Our studio is in agreement,
Ami KKR.
in unison.
Sounds like he's got a trophy as well. He wants to.
Yeah, I think he's got
He
a
wants
few.
to vent.
I think he's got a few. I think all of you have IPL trophies. Oh, what do? We've got a star. Studded lineup over here, and why not? So much to look forward to this week. Let's find out what's on the show. Along with Chennai Super Kings as well, that will be the final showdown. Will they take each other on the 18th? That Saturday is going to be extraordinarily at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, because not only fan bases, most beloved teams, but also the two he's been in against. But the one team, it has essentially had that momentum going their way. It's 5 on the trot now. Our Grow experts' opinion when it comes to RCB. Raidu, such a started the way to the second half. I mean, the month of May has just been different for RCB. What has been the one prevalent change that has essentially led to the string of results?
I think
We still have only one team that is qualified. It's because teams are riding. Case in point, Delhi Capitals as well. Can the Gujarat Titans capitalize on what they did to Chennai Super Kings and ride that wave of momentum against Kolkata today?
Well, they would have got a lot of confidence seeing into this contest, at least say we're going to knock off the top team today and we're going to do it in style.
The results of yesterday essentially have put a lot of pressure on former champions Gujarat Titans to ensure that they get results today. We spoke about RCB, but also Chennai Super Kings dig into their reserves to get a victory at the Chepauk, their 50th at the Chepauk, where the crowd was treated to one man, Tale MSD, making a final lap of saying thank you for the way that the season has gone so far. Wickets this season at a pretty decent economy as well. You expect it from the bowlers, but the way that Andre Russell himself has managed to contribute, he's got 15 wickets this season. He's bowled a couple of those hard overs as well, Haydo.
Yeah, and he's just got a happy knack of taking wickets in the first couple of balls of his spell as well. He's finding, I sense this season, this extra fitness. He looks a lot fitter, a lot stronger, so he's
aggressive when he bowls. He doesn't really hold back, doesn't really bowl a lot of slow balls. He just comes hard, and sometimes he goes for runs, but he can also take wickets. Yeah.
They've got 3 batters towards the back end who've got more than 100 runs in this competition. That includes Ramandeep and that includes Andre Russell. And perhaps not having only Andre Russell doing all the heavy lifting has had those impactful knocks, because we're still seeing a really tremendous striking ability this season.
Man, he's just got so much power. On a technical thing, he actually also, the other thing is he has got zero question, none, that he can't clear the boundary wherever he bats. So when he's got that mindset, that clarity that every batsman seeks but doesn't necessarily find, the ball travels. The other thing is 30-kilo advantage and just purely physics. If you're actually getting all of that mass into that tiny ball, you know, you've got a huge advantage, and the ball just flies off that bat of his.
And he spoke so much about working on his stride, especially when it comes to a little bit of the shorter stuff. That small little adjustment that he's made, of course, building up to the T20 World Cup, but it's come into effect for Kolkata Knight Riders.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. He used to wait for the short ball a lot earlier in the previous seasons, but now he doesn't.
That it allows you to process as much time as you can to know where that ball's going to come. As soon as you can see and read it out of the hand, that becomes your advantage.
Over the years in the IPL, about stellar West Indian all-rounders, and you'll think of the Dwayne Bravos and the Karan Pollards and of course the Andre Russells. Sunil Narayan this season, 15 wickets, but he's 39 away from 500 runs this season.
Yeah, I mean, his name is proper Indian name, so he loves India and he's all innings and he's playing like a proper opener.
Star.
And he's scoring all these runs.
Yeah, well, most valuable player. I mean, his hands and heels, right? He's well over 1,000 points. And that's saying, you know, a lot about his ability with both bat and ball. He's been around.
IPL and been involved in that capacity as well. And when you look at Kolkata Knight Riders and their fortunes, last 2 seasons they finished 7th, both 2 seasons. They had 8 different opening combinations. This time they've stuck with one. They're the first team to qualify. So it's not just having a find in Sunil Narine, but finding an able partner in Phil Salt.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the openers in the IPL who have been successful, they always have this have been doing well.
In 2023, he actually stood very offside, so he took his guard on off stump. Whereas in 2024, he's actually back at the ball, so he's starting on sort of leg stump, middle leg, and that's enabled him to access the offside a lot more. So last year we saw
He's averaging just above 40. He's striking at over 180. He's essentially been the find, one of the finds of the season for the Knight Riders. And let's hear from him ahead of the game. The confidence of role clarity, but the confidence to say, it doesn't matter if it's black soil or red soil, it behaves the same. I thought it was worlds apart.
Clearly,
for overseas batters.
Clearly he needs to do my pitch reports. Because I look down the surface and I'm thinking, what percentage of clay? Is it red? Is it black? Is it going to turn? Is it going to swing? Is it going to swing? As good as what they could be at this stage of the tournament. Don't be surprised if he actually starts performing the house down, because as a leader, he's got that side swimming so nicely.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those leaders who knows when not to talk or when not to say something. And that's really important as a leader.
And he's been in leadership positions before. It's just coming differently this time around. He had success with Delhi and now is wearing a different strip. Also, it's who you have at your disposal and how to utilize it. Look at the keys to success for KKR this season, who, as you just saw, Phil Salt has clarified, we are here to win. When it comes challenging for the kind of role that you play in the areas that you bowl, the time that you bowl in, especially when you're seeing 200 totals of 250 in excess. Something about Varun has changed in the second half of the season, whether it's the nature of the pitches or he himself has made those adjustments.
Yeah, it could be a bit of the nature of the wickets. You know, we do often see that, don't we? The wear and tear. You know, success, it's really as simple as that.
Yeah, I think especially when he was under pressure earlier, he used to bowl a lot short, and now he goes to that leg cutter of his. He's bowling too many of these in the second half, and he's also bowling slightly wider. He wants people to drag him. People are expecting him to bowl a lot of googlies, but he's surprising them with a lot of leg spin and leg cutters.
And the amount of experience that he has as well for Kolkata Knight Riders has just helped them going forward. Usually by now we would be having the toss. Just because of the weather, there has been a slight delay in the toss departments. And a bit of an unsung hero who does have exuberance, excitement in terms of the celebrations, and sometimes you need that as a bowler to motivate yourself. That's Harshit Rana, because he has been one of the finds in the way that he's taken responsibility for the Knight Riders this season.
Yeah, I think so, because you can't stop a fast bowler from being aggressive.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're taking...
Ishant Sharma was outrageously out of control last night against Virat Kohli. See, and that's why us batters, we just go...
You just named all Delhi boys, including Harshit Rana.
You're going to have to cop it here at some point, fast bowlers. I'm sorry.
And also as batsmen, you would love to face a fast bowler who is aggressive. You would love to face someone like that.
Just smash him.
Considering that Mitch Starc is in the ranks, it is Harshit Rana that has taken the Crescent's responsibility.
Yeah, that's right. I bet it's also nice, isn't it, to see a great champion come back in Starc. I fear that too much about it, you know, trying to bowl a lot of cutters and just confusing. I mean, that's the IPL does it to the very best of people that come here. Suddenly you get the big price tag, but now I sense that the motor is up and running.
Yeah, I think there's too much expectation on him to bowl that quality in-swinger, which he's not been able to do for a little while. But we can...
Sorry, madam. We're so sorry. Okay.
Just get all Australian players back into form just before a World Cup. Listen, we're having these conversations because just because of a little bit of weather around, there has been a delay on the toss, so we'll be on top of that because it is a crucial match from both teams' perspective. Titans still in it mathematically, but more so because of the results that we saw yesterday from RCB and Chennai Super Kings. Victories for both of them has made this first 5 deliveries has been striking over 200. That's exactly what you want to see. We didn't get to see him bat at the Chepauk. Will you get to see him bat at the Chinnaswamy? That's the question, though, because the way conditions are, the batting paradise that it is, it's a huge game-changing incentive. It could decide that Final Four.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that RCB versus CSK has always been an exciting game, and it's a great game to play in or even watch, because both the teams, RCB, they always come hard, and CSK, you always soak the pressure in. And
Was last year, was it? With CSK won?
I'm not sure.
That was,
not
all records have been broken this
Yeah.
season, so we can't remember any of those. But at that stage, those were the most sixes and innings that
and he always loves this ground, and right from get-go, whenever he walks in Chinnaswamy, he just starts hitting somehow. Whenever in other venues, he takes a little bit of time, but here, I don't know, somehow he's sure that he can hit from the first ball.
It begs the question, and we've been begging it here on the Star Network for some time, is why he's not batting up the order. He's
But
coming.
is he going to? I mean, we know
He's not
coming
going
back
to.
from the surgeries and his own estimation of keeping, and so we can hope.
Yeah, well,
that
he's
springs
full of
eternal.
surprises. I mean, I'm expected that MS, if he's got something in his mind, even though he's not captain, I'm sure he can con Ruturaj Gaikwad to allow him to come up if the circumstances allow him to do so. That's all I'm saying. I think there's been a couple of opportunities where potentially, especially when you've got flexible middle to late orders across all the IPL teams, left and right-handedness, that sort of combination. But there have been a few times where I thought this could be MS's time.
Yeah, maybe I think it's just his leg and his body. As you said, with him, he always gives it time. Even if he wants to retire, he'll say, let the thought just cook in his head. Wait for a while, then come to a conclusion.
Sounds like a good biryani, doesn't it? Start in the morning and eat it in the afternoon. Perfect.
He cooks a really good biryani, so at some stage we've got to get you to do that.
No, but he's the chef.
That's true. How about both of you cook and invite me, since I have no
I'm up for
culinary
that for
skills.
sure.
Yeah, no culinary skills whatsoever. The reason we're talking about my lack of culinary skills
It's 'cause it's raining.
Also because of the weather.
Of course, the great champion that Kohli is, he's managed to find a way to rise. You can only, and that's what longevity is all about in cricket. You get knocked down a little bit and you find a way to come back with solutions. And look at the greats of all time, that's been their key attribute. They love the pressure and the tension. In fact, the very thing that they learnt to hate when they first start, you don't want that spotlight, is a thing that you actually need when you come to the end of your career.
Be a mouth-watering one because of the form that Virat Kohli has been in this season. He's just managed to transform himself, work on a few elements that sometimes going spin in that power play to Virat Kohli. In fact.
No, I don't think so. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Sure.
Because I think Virat just needs to make up his mind. And whenever he hits a 6 or a 4, he should be looking to hit a 6 or a 4. Sometimes he tries to play long and tries to play an innings. Maybe in the recent times, now how the game has been evolving, you don't have that luxury of taking a single and taking on a bowler next over. You just need to keep on going. And that's what you can see in his game this season. And I'm sure in the World Cup, that's what he's going to do. Take on every single ball and every single bowler.
I think he'll get hit with spin in the World Cup. It's an obvious thing.
But
because,
I mean, against CSK too?
well,
You feel that?
CSK will come out with a full loaded dice of spin bowling. But the thing is, won't they? I think they'll play. They're CSK. I'll take the pace off the ball. And Ryder, you and I know that it's when you're starting in innings, what you love is pace, because you don't have to transfer much energy into the ball for it to sail. When you've got the mental risk, that's what spin does. You're not threatened. It's not fast. It's 100 k's at best. You've got no anxiety about that, but your anxiety comes from thinking how you're going to transfer energy in the ball to get the maximum results. And it's not easy. It's a real mental challenge. And if you're in that position where you take that for granted, even just to have a thought of it,
Well, not unless you want to get Rajat Patidar against spin in the power play. So you got to think about all of those, but it will be all about watching these two icons who literally were the caretakers of Indian cricket when they transferred the captaincy from MS Dhoni to Virat Kohli, to see these two icons on the field, on the Maidan, one more time together.
let's hope it's not Chennai that is sneaking out of that top four. Well, look, tomorrow night's match is huge, right? Delhi, Lucknow and Delhi up. So that's, and they've also got a game in hand as well. So they basically a bye at this stage. I mean, I just feel with Mumbai, they've just packed up and they're just ready to just shut down the season.
They won't want to give that final punch swing at the Wankhede in front of home
Well, not
crowd?
the way they're playing.
Okay.
Put it that way. When they were up in Kolkata the other night, you know, that was not their best performance whatsoever. And it just seems like even Rohit Sharma himself, like he was almost like having a bit of a knock-up. So, you know, to me, that's a threat. And it makes you wonder why, really, because I suppose it was the mystery.
Yeah, in Hindi.
Brian Lara did.
You had
No, in Hindi.
Not in my...
in the first week of this tournament.
I'm pretty sure it had Chennai.
Chennai was there, of course.
Chennai, Mumbai,
I had Mumbai as well, I
Rajasthan,
think, and Rajasthan.
And
Sunrisers, did I have?
I think you guys had LSG. A lot of you had Lucknow Super Giants.
Yeah.
Lucknow, and I had RCB as well.
You had RC.
I love Rajasthan Royals. I do think that they have, you know, what it takes. I know that they've gone on this little...
At the Chairbook, it was the fact that you had to go to a Tushar Deshpande, to Simranjit and his performances. And despite, I mean, CSK have done un-CSK-like things. You made changes. You haven't gone and entrusted players throughout a season. You've lost players, so you've had to have your bowling reserves who are uncapped players. But somehow it's just kind of fallen into place. And now you've got a huge game coming up against RCB. Is it enough to make that final push?
I think so, and especially the wicket at Bangalore turning a little bit.
Between them on the field to see how that transfership or that ownership of leadership is going. But from a batter's perspective, you can get leadership weigh on you. But Ruturaj has not let it weigh on him.
No, he's been unwavering in his tremendous batting. And I think that role is taken care of, which can then allow the freedom and space for younger players to emerge and develop. And we've seen, or even older players, you know, the Fizz was a revelation, you know, coming to franchise. There's always a way that, I mean, you really enjoyed your time there, like coming in with experience, but you're allowed the freedom and develop, you know.
Yeah, okay, what do you think should happen now? What do you think is the best score? How do you think you can take it from here? So that kind of a conversation, that kind of a, you know, freedom as a batsman or as a player really makes you think and gives you that leeway to really express yourself and play to your full potential. Sometimes
Wickets because the person following you was always MS Dhoni.
How does that feel? Oh, I just got out, but then the crowd's going off.
so, no, I mean, me and Jaddu have really felt it over the last. I truly believe when I say this that they are MS Dhoni's fans first and then CSK's fans later. And I truly believe in what I'm saying. And we all know, even Jaddu gets frustrated, but end of the day, he can't do anything about it.
we know. And one of the most beloved places when it comes to fandom, and that is the Chinnaswamy. 17 years, they're stuck with their team, despite no titles, despite a plethora of superstars. They will be painted yellow, I can assure you, when CSK take on RCB on the 18th in the final showdown. At the moment, still waiting for the toss to happen in Ahmedabad, just to aiming for here with Matthew Hayden, Tom Moody and Ambati Raidu, and that's just really it. So if you share a point here from Gujarat Titans, it's been a tough campaign for them and they'll have to just walk away with that.
Yeah, but Tom was talking about it before. It's been a remarkable start to this young franchise. You know, the fact is that they've got this loyal fan base. You see them there turning out, in spite of being there for a number of hours now under pouring rain. They want to see the best, and they'll be all disappointed. But they should also be very proud of the fact that they have been a successful franchise, and in spite of a, you know, very difficult Tata IPL with the change of leadership, their young captain, Shubman Gill, also has had a superb season.
Not just a change of leadership, but essentially two players not having Mohammad Shah.
Power play with his world-class bowling and also what he's done at the death. So he was a bowler that was called upon by Hardik Pandya.
Today,
No, I mean,
that's the number one issue.
There's so much rain in a dry state, so everybody will be happy.
Sorry, he won that round.
You can't win a game in the change room. So if he can somehow manage to find some extra gears in his batting, that might just make up for a Salt.
Just in terms of taking on that responsibility, because he has that aura. Look, it's a big week because this is the final week before you make it to the playoffs. And I mean, Ryder, you're in a situation where still only one team has qualified. Rajasthan had the opportunity.
Now, KL Rahul's got many gears, and I suppose over times people have been critical of him because he's been in the lower gear.
Speak of playoffs, Haydos, when you have a look at the so-called favourites to enter that top four, who are one of the favourites who could slip up?
Well, the big fella's old club is half a chance, but they're at home twice.
Come on, mate. Hey?
So for mine, they're a dangerous side. I said this right at the start of the day. If I'm in a change room right now and I'm looking at a side that can threaten me, I look to Sunrisers Hyderabad because they are the benchmark in batting. Every other franchise has had to shift a gear, knowing that potentially the new 200's actually 300. I mean, it's been borderline, hasn't it, this start to IPL? But they're just finding a way to just continue to improve and grow the game of T20 cricket. They're a genuine threat.
What happens, Raidu, to the teams, for example, that will be for them two in completely opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to their fortunes in this season of the Tata IPL? But then the final countdown, the final show for us is going to be RCB up against Chennai.
I know you're speaking from the heart, but I'm calling RCB, even though they've got a below
we're
average.
Speaking from our mind, the only way RCB can win, and that is next year.
Up more than one level. They've moved up about 5 levels of the pace of the game that they're playing, which was missing in the first half of the tournament. Therefore, it reflected with their performances on their win ratio. Now, I think their bowlers are coming back into form. They seem to have real role clarity in what they do. They always start with the left arm spinner first up, and Mohammad Siraj has come back into form. So I think everything's just falling in.
Got 600 plus runs, a third season where he's managed to do that. And when Haydos spoke about not just teams, but here let's talk about a player who's just kind of realigned themselves throughout a tournament as to what is now expected, what has changed in terms of the template. Virat has managed to do that.
Yeah, he's a classic fighter that manages to evade on the ropes for a bit, and then he just comes out bang, bang. Like watching him live last night, you would have thought that that's a winning World Cup campaign for RCB. Like, it was that big. It was, his body. Hey, bud, like, the benchmark's here. You're amazing, but you still need to be here. And then he comes out, bang, 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 with a different set of options against spin. Maybe he's had those, maybe he doesn't. It doesn't matter, because under pressure now, he's performing. And that's a champion. That's an icon of the game. That's what it takes to be the very best. Two facing each other off, MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli. It's super exciting.
It's a complete contrast from what you were hearing in the beginning half of the tournament, because he was still the only one raising his bat and letting his blade do the talking. Is it also because of the confidence of having Rajat Patidar at 4, who's got 450s, who's giving Virat that sort of platform to kind of play with that sort of liberation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's playing sublime bat cricket, and I think he's playing with an attitude that, I would want to maximize every.
Over the last few weeks, what it's done is made it very difficult for the opposition to match up against RCB, because their normal go-to plan is it's bowl spin. In the power play, at least 1 or 2 overs. Will Jacks, I know he's not going to be there on Saturday, but you've got Will Jacks, who's also sort of giving you that sort of power at number 3 and that stability at number 3 that they have.
So again, it's not a like for like.
No.
But there is that, when you think about his capacity to be able to play spin, and you think back to where he actually got that on one-legged double century, it's a venue which we haven't seen anything of Maxwell this year. He's been MIA for whatever reason, but he could be a little injection that RCB need to threaten the spinners.
But that's the thing with Maxie. He's the type of player that could just turn up, having not played, and just turn it on. And play one of those 60 off 30 balls or 70 off 30 balls. He's that type of player, and that you can guarantee CSK will be thinking, is he going to wake up today, because we don't want to.
We've now got 2 CSK gentlemen in the house here. When we're talking about the utilisation of Patidar and Maxwell, who could negate the spin threat of CSK, it's CSK. CSK always have plan C, D, E, something when it comes to the Chinnaswamy. What will be the trump card that they pull out that could be a little MS Dhoni inspired?
It's a full house.
So we're just still waiting for an update from that ground. MS Dhoni, if he walks out, first 5 balls, he is striking at 227. The people didn't get to see it at the Chepauk. Will we see it at the Chinnas?
I'll tell you what we will see. We will see a thumping crowd. You just, Chinnaswamy is, even though it's a small ground, what's it, 30 something?
Yeah, 28.
It's, you know, compared to what we're seeing here today, it's, you know, not a 100,000 stadium.
No, yeah.
It is easily, in India, the loudest stadium.
Yeah.
The music's going, the DJ's got it all rocking. MS Dhoni will just add that perfect little concoction to the noise levels.
Behind the wicket,
Yeah,
too.
behind the
there's
wicket
a
as
shot
well.
we haven't seen.
This
So
is just getting silly.
he just needs one leg and one hand now.
Make it stop. Make it stop as we build up to this final showdown this entire week, really, because how exciting would it be if it actually comes down to that? There are games to be played before that. There are teams who will be able to put, you know, their 2 points in, including Lucknow Super Giants, including Sunrisers Hyderabad. So it could very much come down to RCB and Chennai Super Kings, and more so for RCB, who finished in that Final Four. But talking about MSD and what he's given us this season, it's been one of the questions to ask. Will it be the last? Haydos said it very beautifully.
He's actually done it in a 360 manner. We have not known, you know, he's not known to play all around the wicket. But here you see, I think at the end of his career he's doing it.
Yeah,
He's done a full circle. No.
One of the things that hasn't changed over all these years is that unusual little dip that he has, a bit like Andre Russell as well, and those incredibly fast hands. I mean, he wields a pretty heavy bat, and I was always surprised just how quickly he was able to plummet those hands through from a good, stable base. And he hits unusual there to over here, and that's a rare skill. That's actually great strength through your hands for start.
And also I've asked him, how do you generate so much power, especially of a ball which is full and wide? And his answer is he gets that power from his toes.
From his toes.
From his toes.
Yeah, that's what really, you know, I couldn't understand.
So
Somebody should ask him that question. How
let me
does
ask you this question. So
like he generates, he brings it up from his toes, from the ground up.
But okay, so we don't see pictures in the gym, training, and all of
Toes?
that. I mean, yeah, that's
Not
what I'm
the
trying to
toes,
get at. So
Toe lifts.
we don't
that's what
see
he
these
said.
visuals, okay? We don't see like until just 2 months or 1 month before IPL starts, where you have a hit in the nets, and you know. So we know notoriously there's no heaviness going around. It's old school, running laps around the stadium. That's sort of the preparation. So you are the one who are the closest to us, spending the last couple of years with MS Dhoni. What does he do that is different compared? Because as you get older, you look after your body in different ways. What does he do that is different, which is just not done by others? So how much of it is just still the pure skill and talent of the person rather than something that he is working on?
No, I think he's born with 99% of everything that you have said. And that 1% that I've seen in the last 2 years, he's been really working hard in the gym. He's been doing a lot of weights. And also he spends a lot of time in recovery, in terms of not getting injured or looking after his muscles and his body. And most importantly, I feel he's been batting a lot. He does a lot of batting, as you know, and that's what gets him going. That's what gets his rhythm going, and he hits a lot of sixes in the nets. So he's
I was going to say...
but his bats have become lighter from the time that he has played with you
His
to the
bats
time
are
that
so
we have
heavy.
played together.
I tried to lift his bat, I was like that.
Yeah,
What
no.
happened?
Hey, Ross, you with the
I'm telling you.
Come on.
He had a heavy bat, right?
Yeah, he did, but
Honestly.
they've become lighter.
Yeah. I was just thinking when I was at training the other day, and I was out in the centre, and Stephen Fleming said, "Oh, why don't you come out the back wickets at Chepauk Stadium?" And then he said, "Oh, but you haven't seen those, have you?" I was like, "Oh, is that right? Is it?" You know, but I was thinking MS Dhoni. I'm not sure he would have seen the back nets too much. He would have been out in that centre block.
It will play into because of this icon MS Dhoni, and will we get a chance to see those maximums at the Chinnaswamy? All those answers will come in maybe 5 days from now, but for that we can just enjoy the magic of Mahi. Reaction celebration from Shubman Gill. You know, there's a lot on his shoulders as well. It was just giving into that feeling and just giving into that outlet. That tells you a lot about maybe where his headspace is and where, as a captain and as a batter, he can take certain moments of pride.
Yeah, look, one of the great privileges is to have a solid opening partnership. It's one of the few certainties in a batting lineup. You know, if you're batting 3 or 4, you're not quite sure, you know, who's going to be going where. That I have for Shubman Gill, because I've no question that we'll be standing here at some point in the next decade and we'll be talking as fondly about Shubman Gill as what we do about MS Dhoni and Virat Kohli. He's a generationally great player. You know, so to see those...
Very much the next generation, the prince of Indian cricket, as you speak to him across
this IPL, that he'll work out different strategies moving forward. We all forget still how young he is. And as a baby of the next generation, he's got to have leadership there. It's got to be a part of his equation. Whether he likes it or not, I think he's a natural leader. I think he's a calm leader. And I think if he can pull all
home leg, we've got the playoffs in Ahmedabad, so it's not goodbye from the league's perspective, and it looks very, very slim for them to be playing again in their home ground. So it's a chance for them to just thank their fans for sticking with them throughout their season. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll tell you about how crucial this week is in the perspectives of qualification, because at the end of yet another match, still only one team has qualified, which is KKR. We're awaiting the rest. We'll be right back. Result that we wanted from the perspective of just getting a little bit of match action. Certainly the result that Kolkata Knight Riders wanted, with the match having been abandoned because of bad weather here in Ahmedabad. So for Gujarat Titans, who get just a singular point, their hopes of making it towards the playoffs take a huge hit in what was their last game at home. But for Kolkata Knight Riders, aiming to finish in the top 2, that's exactly what they wanted. And we discussed that Capitals game, because both of them, Raidu, are on the same number of points, and both of them know that they need to win big here.
Yeah, and especially for Delhi, they need to win big, because they need to get their run rate up. And for Lucknow, I
against champions.
That's
so
it, yeah.
We know that's a that's
the eliminator.
Absolute chance for one side to go forward or back. But then Lucknow have also got to travel down to Mumbai.
Yeah, so 2 games away for Lucknow.
And
2 away games.
Lucknow's net run rate is not great, so they need to win big. Even if they're on 16 and CSK wins their last game, CSK's run rate is better, SRH's run rate...
Just won and lost the last 3?
No, playing well throughout the season.
Throughout the season, so they're better placed. Okay. So wait, I needed to check that for a second. Yeah, Heros, it's interesting, because it could come down to these, for example, Rajasthan now go and play Punjab. Punjab is a dangerous side, right? Nothing to lose. And it could come down to margins. And that's difficult when you have to win by this much or win within this much and keep the net run rate of other games in mind. That's a different sort of pressure.
See, the game of cricket is hard enough.
So thankfully, Ruturaj has only 1 more toss left.
Having the run rate in mind, so yeah, it'll be an interesting week.
It's interesting on the toss, though, because it's been our heads go, oh, it's very toss dependent, but it hasn't made that much of an impact. At Chennai, I think, where there's been a heavily dewed ground, Kolkata's had some
Sunrisers Hyderabad, okay, have often been in a situation where, like, they got one trick, they got one plan, really, just bat oppositions out of the game. Suddenly their bowling started. Pat Cummins is bowling well in the middle. Natarajan is in the contender for that purple cap. Do you feel that they're better placed because they've got 2 home games and they know their conditions? They've got the Gujarat Titans up first.
Of course, I mean, they're better placed, but they're playing against sides who have nothing to lose. And those sides can come.
Really know how to embrace the 50-over game, and I felt the same way about T20 cricket. And even at the mini auction of Sunrisers Hyderabad, with great performances with the bat when required, standout performances through the middle where he's been bowled heavily and done well, and from a leadership point of view as well. So,
yeah,
good captain.
You can say 6 because he's won 6 IPL titles, so you can say. Both the gentlemen here said, listen, Lucknow Super Giants could potentially shake things out best place, but because of the sides that they're facing. But Mumbai Indians, who have been in all sorts of, in a way, chaos this season, last home game at Wankhede. I mean, they would want to flourish. They would want to give it back to the pult, and this could potentially be that banana skin for LSG.
I think...
and you've played so much cricket there for that franchise. So, and if that happens, that brings us to our final showdown on a Saturday. As Haydos has worked out all the permutations and calculations with the calculator in his head right up here, saying that you've got so many teams who played 2 matches. You've got RCB and Chennai Super Kings who played just 1. CSK at the moment are in that top 4. RCB at the moment have that momentum. 2 iconic players facing off in Virat Kohli and MS Dhoni. The stakes could not have been higher for this rivalry than any other season in the recent past than it is right now.
It's funny how it all comes down to it, isn't it? You know, you have...
I'll still have that sadistic sort of pleasure in knocking CSK out in the last game because of all the pain that CSK has induced.
Didn't CSK knock them out in 2011 or something?
No, they've knocked RCB out on many occasions, especially SRH has done that a lot.
I mean, CSK boys, I'm asking. I know the obvious answer.
Yeah, yeah, CSK.
No, Flem's watching the show, so it's
CSK.
definitely
Flem is
CSK.
watching the show, and if you are...
I tried my best to have them behave themselves, Mr. Fleming, but it just does not happen. No matter what we try, these boys are CSK all the way, right? Okay, fine. We'll try. I mean, I'm the Bengaluru girl, so RCB, Isala Cup Namde, still alive. You never know. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us in what is a crucial week in the road to the playoffs. Who joins the Knight Riders? We'll find out soon enough.